What is up, you guys? Today, Moana the live action remake comes out this weekend, and I decided it would be fun if I ranked every single live action Disney remake from animated to live action. The only one I haven't seen is the 90s version of The Jungle Book. I never got to watch that, and that's not going to be in this video. So, every single other live action Disney remake will be in this video, but let's just jump right into it. So there are 23 live action Disney remakes that I have seen. So here are my bottom 5. For me, we're going to do it this way. I feel like it's the easiest. 102 Dalmatians, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Mulan, Dumbo, and Pinocchio. These are definitely the bottom of the barrel for me when it comes to live action Disney remakes. I feel like all these are pretty rough and pretty bad. 102 Dalmatians being the worst. I watched that recently. And man, I can't believe how bad that movie is. It is so awful. There's nothing about it that is good except for Cruella de Vil herself. Alice Through the Looking Glass, this movie itself is just, I don't even really know. Like, it's fine, but I'm a really big fan of the first Alice in Wonderland remake. That's kind of like a requel almost because it's a sequel to the original, but almost a remake. I don't know. But this is definitely a remake of a book. It's not really, it's continuing off of that requel. So it's kind of in that iffy situation where it's an original movie, but it's a sequel, it's a remake. I don't really know what it is. I'm not really a fan of the world that they built within this. Sacha Baron Cohen being the villain as this TikTok clock guy. Not really a big fan of it. And I don't know, like it's missing a lot of the characters like the Mad Hatter and stuff. It just doesn't have that fun vibe like the first one did. Next being Mulan, I'm just not a fan of this movie, mainly because I remember when this was coming out and I was so anticipating it. But then they said, we're not having any music from the original film, and they're getting rid of Mushu and the cricket. And I was like, how are you doing Mulan without Mushu? And I get they were trying to do Mulan with like this cool, epic, like more realistic fight scenes and stuff and everything like that. But I didn't like it. It just Mulan. It didn't feel like Mulan for me. And I know they were trying to do like this unique thing, but I feel like the majority of audiences felt that same way. I just didn't love it. It's because it was missing Mushu, it was missing the cricket, and when you don't have those characters and when you don't have those songs, especially the songs from Mulan, they are so goated. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. Dumbo. I'm not a really big fan of this film either. This is the Tim Burton remake of Dumbo. It's been a while since I've seen it, so maybe giving it a rewatch, I will like it more. But I remember mainly just not loving how weird this movie felt. It felt completely different from the original, and that original Dumbo movie is problematic in today's culture for sure. But even like the pink elephants on parade scene, that is one scene from my childhood that I was terrified of, but I grew to love as I got older, and it's just not in the film, and it kind of makes me sad. I wish that it was in the movie. Pinocchio, I actually did like this when it first came out, and as I got older, and I think 2 years older, I watched this again, and it just feels, yeah, it feels lifeless, honestly. Like, it does feel like just, hey, we need something to put on Disney Plus. Let's put this out there. And it's fine, but I do feel that Tom Hanks doesn't really put a lot of effort into this role of Geppetto. Pinocchio himself doesn't look great, and it kind of looks a little gray at times. It's just not that great. Into the next 5 that are kind of still lower on the list, but a little like meh category. We got Maleficent 2. I forget what the full name's called. Pete's Dragon, Lion King, Lilo and Stitch, and Peter Pan and Wendy. These 5 movies collectively, I feel like are just kind of middle of the barrel, all 5 out of 10s. I think Maleficent I have at a 4 out of 10. These movies to me kind of feel just like meh, like kind of middle of the barrel, low, like just like, what are we doing? This kind of just feels like, what is going on? Maleficent 2, honestly, I kind of completely forget that movie. And that just, honestly, that's really it. I just kind of forgot it. And it really isn't memorable, so it's down at the bottom of the list. Honestly, same can be said for Pete's Dragon. I honestly don't really remember this film, but I remember it being very dramatic, very drama-based. And I know this is based off of the Pete's Dragon animated film, if there is one. I haven't seen the animated film. I've only seen this. Well, the dragon was fun, but besides that, honestly, whenever I look at this movie again, I'm like, I completely forgot what this movie is. It looks like The Good Dinosaur had a remake. Lion King, honestly, I remember really liking the Lion King movie when it came out. When I was younger, it came out in like, 2017 or something like that, 2019. I forget when it came out. But I remember being, whoa, this movie's awesome. It's really fun. I recently rewatched this film for fun, and I went, wow, those animals look scary. The CGI on those animals kind of look lifeless and just, I don't know, their eyes, those aren't real animals. Like, I remember being a kid and going like, wow, this is great, this is so fun. Now I'm like, ugh, I don't know. And also, I gotta admit, a lot of the songs don't feel the same way as they do in the animated film. Like, especially Be Prepared does not hit the same in this film. I remember watching it and going, this movie just doesn't hit it. It doesn't go well. Lilo and Stitch, I remember when this movie came out and I was so anti this film. And I think since it came out, I haven't rewatched it. I really want to revisit it. But I'm slowly leaning more positive towards it, and I think maybe it's because of realizing how other Disney remakes are. I'm still very disappointed with it. There's no Gontu. Lilo and Nani's relationship is a little weird. I do appreciate what they did for the end for Nani. I really like that. I love how Nani got to be her own person, but also be there for her sister. I really respect that. And being a big Lilo and Stitch fan of the animated film, it just made me feel, this movie's not really doing it for me. And I'm so upset because I see a bunch of people loving this film, but it just didn't do it for me. And next being Peter Pan and Wendy, I actually am a little bit of a fan of this. I will admit, I do think that at times it's really boring, but the beginning sequence where they're flying over London and stuff, it's awesome. It looks great, and it really has a great visual feeling to it. And Peter Pan is one of my favorite Disney movies too, even though that is problematic. It just has that magical feeling towards it, and I think it's the animation aspect. But they really pop that out with it, and I really like what they do with Captain Hook. I like how he's kind of like this whiny baby, but they explain really why he is the way he is. And I think that's towards the end. It's just really that middle chunk that doesn't do anything for me. Tinkerbell isn't really doing anything in this film that's worth anything. And a lot of the movie is gray, even though there are some grand visual moments that are really good. It is really gray. And this is one of the better live action remakes that was put onto Disney Plus, in my opinion. But I think also there's just too many Peter Pan remakes that aren't Disney that are good, like the Peter Pan from 2002. That was really good. Or Hook and stuff like that. There's a ton of different Peter Pan adaptations. This just doesn't really explore anything that's grand. Now, getting into our next group of 5, I'm going with Lady and the Tramp, Snow White, Mufasa, Lion King, 101 Dalmatians, and Maleficent. These films I actually kind of do enjoy, and it's more of like a guilty pleasure enjoy, because I know that they're not great, excluding Maleficent. Maleficent, I think, is pretty good. Lady and the Tramp, I actually did really enjoy it when it first came out. It was like one of the first live-action remakes that was put onto Disney Plus, and it was during, I believe, when we had the pandemic and stuff, and I actually really enjoyed it. I haven't revisited it since, but I remember the animals being a little bit more realistic than they were in, let's say, the Lion King film. Next, going into Snow White, I know this is high on my list compared to other people's, and when I first watched this movie, I remember really, really liking it, and slowly, I am disliking it a little bit more. But I feel that the hate on this movie is so forced, and I'll be the first one to admit, when this film was getting announced and everything, and we getting reports about how there's no dwarfs in the film, and there's actually these 8 bandits or whatever, 7 bandits. I remember being so mad and anti this film. I was like, this is ridiculous. I remember going, this is such an interesting take that Disney's doing. And then they included the dwarfs. And honestly, the dwarfs were really fun in the film. I really like them, even though they are CGI'd weird and it's kind of creepy. They are a little bit charming to them. The visuals in the film are great. I really like the visuals, and that's something only Mark Webb could do. He did the Spider-Man movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and it looks great. Rachel Zegler, I think, is actually a really good Snow White, and I really like how they didn't make her just that princess that's like wanna be with a man and stuff. She is actually her own character, and it's not just a princess that's very just to be there to be like, hey, I'm a woman and I'm amazing. No, she is a woman. She wants to be with her man, but she also wants to be independent, and that's great. I love that. The only problem with this film that I have is the Evil Queen. The Evil Queen sucked. Gal Gadot is awful, and whenever she is on screen, whenever we see her, it's so bad. And her song where it's like all is fair, one of the worst songs in Disney history of all time. It's horrendous. Next up, I have Mufasa the Lion King, and yeah, I have this movie above the Lion King remake, and honestly, it's because I really like this approach of having like a sequel or a remake, but having it as an origin story or doing something that's unique to a character, that's something that we haven't seen before. Now, so this could be honestly really good or really bad, like how we've seen with 102 Dalmatians, or Alice Through the Looking Glass. Those are terrible, terrible movies, and they're remakes that are sequels that are unique and new. This film, I feel like, since it is a prequel, we get Mufasa's origin story. I actually really like the story. I really liked everything about it. I will say the animals still have that weird CGI look to them that the original Lion King remake did, but it's still fun. And also, the soundtrack for this film is absolutely spectacular. I always wanted a brother. I remember hearing that in the trailer and making fun of it. Now it's on my playlist, and I listen to it every summer. It is a bop. Like, it is a jam, man. Next up, I got 101 Dalmatians from the 90s. This was one of the original live-action Disney remakes, and this is so fun because this film doesn't really make it like a remake where it's like, oh, it needs to be realistic. They actually have the kooky wackiness. Like, Cruella de Vil, Glenn Close, phenomenal. She is so great in this role. But then we also got Roger and I forgot the other girl's name. They are both great. I love them in this roles. And I love how the dogs don't talk because even though they keep this movie wacky, they also keep it realistic where the dogs aren't talking and they don't have that weird CGI mouth effect that some like the Air Bud movies do or Spooky Buddies, stuff like that. And next up, we got Maleficent. I actually really enjoy Maleficent. Maybe not as much as other people do. I still give it only like a 6 out of 10. It is a very fun film. What I really like about Maleficent is it's, again, that origin story for a character that we haven't really seen, because if you watch Sleeping Beauty, there really is no origin to the Maleficent character. But in this, they give an explanation, a tragic backstory, and it's a really good performance by Angelina Jolie. I just don't like how dark it is. This film is so dark. Like, it's just gray, and I wish that there was more color, I guess. Getting into the next group here, we got Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, Cinderella, Christopher Robin, Alice in Wonderland. We are moving up and up the list, and these are all movies that I actually genuinely enjoy. Starting off with Aladdin, I do really like Aladdin. Unfortunately, though, it is the lower of the bunch of the movies that I kind of do really enjoy. I think this is a solid remake. My only issue with it is I don't really care for Will Smith as the genie. I think he's fine, but I definitely don't love him as much as I did with Robin Williams as the genie in the original animated film. This film is fun. It's just, it is excruciatingly long. I feel like it did build and like kind of is a little bit longer and sometimes could feel extremely longer. That's really my only criticism. But besides that, I really like the visuals. I like how colorful it is. It really brings out the world of Agrabah. I like Aladdin. I love Jasmine in this role. And it's honestly a very fun time. Next up here with Little Mermaid, I actually really enjoyed the Little Mermaid movie. And there was a lot of controversy here because they did change the Little Mermaid Ariel's skin color. I felt like that was fine. I had no problem with that. I said that, in my opinion, there's really no point, or I don't really care if someone changes the skin color of a character unless that is an integral part of their personality or their character and stuff. And Ariel, it really doesn't matter what race she is. She's a mermaid underwater. It doesn't really matter to me. Like, if this was Black Panther and they decided to make T'Challa white, I would probably be like, that's not right. But with the Ariel, who cares? And actually, I went into this really excited, had a lot of fun with it. And this film was really fun. I think Melissa McCarthy did a really good job as Ursula. The song choices were great. Haley Bailey did a fantastic job in performing as Ariel and singing it. Prince Eric was fine, probably the most forgettable part of the film. This film is colorful, but definitely not as colorful as I would have loved it to be. Atlantis is kind of, muggy and stuff, but I feel like whenever they do underwater sequences, it's always like that in Hollywood. But overall, I had a really fun time with this. I think this is the best one that kind of is a remake of the film, but adds stuff to it, but also feels very similar to Cinderella. This film explores those details that are kind of just like said, like in the beginning of Cinderella, where it says like, oh, Cinderella's mom died, she's now living with her stepmom because her dad died too. That first like 30 minutes of this film is exploring just that piece. It doesn't drag, it actually builds upon it, and it's really well done. I also love the prince in this, Prince Charming. Lady Tremaine is phenomenal in it. Everything about this movie is really, really fun. It's visually great and stunning. Disney needs to really go back to type of these movies and remake these types of films, because these were fantastic. Next up, I got Christopher Robin. I really enjoyed Christopher Robin, and mainly because it's a remake, but also it's similar to how Alice in Wonderland is, where it's a remake but a sequel, because now Christopher Robin is much older, and all the Winnie the Pooh characters are going to try to get him to be, this whimsical character again. And man, this movie's just so heartwarming. It's so gut wrenching when when Winnie the Pooh goes, "Oh, does that mean you left me too at 100 Acre Wood?" Oh, it's so heartbreaking to hear that and see that. But Ewan McGregor's great. Winnie the Pooh is great, and all the Winnie the Pooh characters, and they're voiced by the same characters who played them throughout the years. So yeah, I had a really fun time with Christopher Robin, and it's really sentimental. But I do feel that if they try to remake this magic, they definitely won't succeed with it. I feel like that's something that really only they could do with the Winnie the Pooh characters. And now next up, in fourth place on my list, because we're about to move into the top three soon. In fourth place, I'm going with Alice in Wonderland. I really, really love the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland film. And I know a lot of people don't love it, but I think it's such an interesting take on Alice in Wonderland. This is a sequel to Alice in Wonderland where she doesn't remember Wonderland at all, but they all remember her. I love the Mad Hatter as Johnny Depp. I think he's fantastic, and I think that's one of the best Johnny Depp performances. I love the Red Queen, the visual style of this world, because, it is Tim Burton. It's dark and gloomy because, unfortunately, Wonderland in the original animated movie is colorful and vibrant and bright, but now it's like dark and decrepit, and it's because there's this Jabberwocky dragon, and there's this whole war going on, and I remember loving it. And this is honestly where I fell in love with Anne Hathaway as a kid. She was my childhood crush because of this film. I have such a sentimental value to this, and I understand that if some people don't like it, I get it, but I truly think it's fantastic. Now, moving into the top three Disney live action remakes, and I'm going to do these all individually. In third place, I'm going with Beauty and the Beast. I think Beauty and the Beast is a phenomenal remake. It is literally per page, text by text, Beauty and the Beast remake. Like, it is verbatim Beauty and the Beast, but it does add songs and it adds a little bit of lore and it expands upon some of those concepts, and it does it really well. And I think this movie is vibrant and colorful. I love the song sequences, and I think the songs are done really well. Unfortunately, like in The Lion King, how I said the songs don't hit as well, in this movie they hit, and they hit sometimes even more. And I think Ewan McGregor does a great job as Cogs, or as Lumiere. Emma Watson does a fantastic job as Belle. I really loved her performance as Belle. The Beast is great in this film. I really love that. And I just love everyone. I love Gaston and LeFou. Literally, this movie is probably the most iconic Disney live action remake. And I think that they have been going down since this one, but it's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. In second place, I'm going with Cruella. Surprisingly, right? I really, really, really enjoyed Cruella, and this movie made me realize maybe we could stop live action Disney remakes and start doing these like origin stories for villains. Like, what if they did origin stories for a ton of villains, but did it like this film? And this is the film that I was so anticipated for Supergirl, because the same director that made this made Supergirl, and Supergirl was a flop for me, unfortunately. And that's why I was so shocked, because I really enjoyed Cruella. Emma Stone did a phenomenal job as Cruella de Vil. Her origin story, her finding Jasper and Horace, her fighting this old Meryl Streep character who's like this designer, which is really fun. I really enjoyed this film, and it really made me excited to see where this future could go, because I'm pretty sure that they announced Cruella 2. I don't know if it's ever going to get made, but I really enjoyed the world that they created with Cruella. But in first place, and this is the only live action Disney remake that I think is better than the original, and that is Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book is the only live action Disney movie that I have at a 9 out of 10. I freaking love this film. This movie literally explores everything and more in The Jungle Book. Watching this film after watching the animated Jungle Book, I absolutely love this. This movie has such a good story, such good action sequences, and you're really caring for Mowgli in this film, and you're realizing all these animals are CGI'd and they look great. That's why I'm so shocked too, because after doing this, he did Lion King. And the Lion King animals just don't look good as well as they did in Jungle Book. I love Bill Murray as Baloo. I think he did a great job there. Shere Khan is so menacing in this film. It's great. Mowgli trying to survive Shere Khan and survive in the jungle. And we get that final action sequence in the fire stuff. It's so good, because honestly, I will say, after King Louie's introduced in the animated film, I'm kind of turned away from the movie. I'm like, it's not that great. With this film, I love it. I'm like, this is such a great movie, and they introduce so many cool ideas and things. Like the wolves, him being raised by the wolves, it's such a unique, cool concept within this film, and I feel like they don't really address that well in the animated film. And I really love Baloo's relationship with Mowgli in the film. Bagheera, or however you say his name, the panther, great. This movie rocks. So yeah, those were all my thoughts on the live action Disney remakes that I have seen. Let me know what your guys' favorite live action Disney remake is. Do you want any movies to be remade? Personally, I don't know. I'm kind of losing hope with these live action remakes, and Moana is only going to make me lose hope more because it's predicted to not be that great. I'm going to see it this weekend. I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I'm very nervous for it. So we'll see where it goes, but let it off to you guys. What do you guys think? Do you guys like this ranking? Let me know. With all that being said, if you like this video, make sure you like it. If you really like it, make sure you subscribe. And if you want to see future videos like this, make sure you ring the bell in the description down below. With all that being said, movie nerd out. Peace!